What it do, guys? What it do? So this is just like a little random aside. I've really noticed weird things happen in threes. You ever heard about that? Like things happen in threes. So I was like, what's something that's like weird that's happened to me that happens in threes? And then I had like looked it up, right, to see what would be the statistical like percentage of like certain things happening, right? Okay, so this one is my threes with the plane. So I travel a lot. My life goal is to see the whole world before I die. I have realized on my planes, I've had like random stuff happen that for a lot of people it's never happened. In the same year, y'all, I was flying from Nairobi to Dubai on Emirates Airlines. You know, like when you're about to like get into the plane, this like old, decrepit older guy. The guy did not look well. He did not look healthy. He had all types of tubes all up on him. I don't think he should be flying, but like, you know, what do I know? I ain't no doctor, right? I'm not no doctor. So they like roll his ass in along with all of his oxygen tanks. But he couldn't even stand up. I mean, he couldn't even sit himself up, and he was in a wheelchair. You understand what I'm saying? He's like about 6 rows ahead of me. We ended up leaving like an hour later than what our flight was scheduled. So we're fine, whatever, everything's all good. And then here we go, right? Crypt Keeper goes into cardiac arrest or whatever. I don't even know. All I know is I see these little stewardesses running up over there, all these little machines, a little pumping thing. They've got him laid out across the middle section, all 4 things laid out. Somebody should have told y'all not to bring this man up on this plane. Poor son is watching him, doesn't know what's happening. They're trying. The captain like makes an announcement over the PA. It's like, we're about to make an emergency landing. Now, keep in mind, we're over the desert, right? There's nowhere for us to emergency land. It's literally the desert. And this man dropped some fuel, put the gas on that plane. And that was the first time I think I've ever been like where I realized like planes are really like jets, right? He went so fast, all of us just leaned back into the seat. Not because we wanted to, but because of the sheer force of it all. He went so fast. We actually landed in Dubai 20 minutes earlier than our actual intended time. That's fucking nuts, okay? Man did not make it. They put a little sheet up over that man, and that was number 1. Second, right? Now, a few months later, okay, I'm in the States, and I was flying from Miami to New York. American Airlines flight. I was the first one on in first class because they upgraded me. And there is a family that comes on. Again, one of the ladies, she didn't look good. I passed out. I'm one of those. I'm going to be asleep on that tarmac even before we leave, all right? So we get going, we're flying. All of a sudden, we're making an emergency landing because we are having an emergency in the back of the plane. We emergency land in South Carolina. We get there. Now, because I'm in the very first seat, I can see where the little drawbridge is coming to the plane. They've already got cops on there. They got EMTs on there. They got everybody lined up. They literally come on board, go to the back wherever this lady is, and they literally put her inside of a bed sheet and literally shimmy her down the little aisleway out into the gangplank, unravel the little sheet, dead. They call the family and they were like, grab your stuff. The family gets off, takes all of their stuff off. This is now the second time that in emergency and the person is dead. Now, number 3. So again, that same trip that I flew from Miami to New York, now I was in New York, and I usually like taking the KQ flight from JFK back to Nairobi because it's direct. So again, I get on board. I'm in business class, and the business class is like empty. It's a 2-2-2 configuration in 3 rows, right? So I'm in the first section on the right by myself because nobody's in the business class. And then it's like one empty row in front of me and an empty row behind me. Like I said, I'll be passed out before we even leave. So I was like laid out. I've already done the food service. They've done everything. I've woken from my first slumber. The stewardesses come. They hook your sister up. They really get me like a nice little setup. So I'm just watching my TV and doing all that. Directly across from me, old man literally starts heaving. He's going. They get onto the announcement. It's like, oh, is there anybody who like can help? There's these 2 guys. They look like they were like US military or something, because like the guy was really buff and the girl was like kind of like petite and buff, and it kind of looked like it, right? They literally lay this old man in between the aisle, okay? His head is by where my feet is. So I'm watching them, and they are like, literally, y'all, they were trying to do every life-saving thing you could possibly imagine. You know, when I knew he was gone, y'all, his little hand was up, and then his hand said, boop. And I said, oof, he's dead. Now, I've already been experiencing this, right, for the last couple of flights. I just had a flight, right, that emergency landed in South Carolina. So I already knew. I was like, well, we're going to have to make an emergency landing somewhere. We're going to have to do something. And I was like, something's telling me, take all your stuff and move to the second part of the business class and just tuck yourself in. And also, like, there's a dead man on the floor. They came, they put a sheet on him. But like, y'all, I was in the air 33,000 feet with a dead man by my feet. I didn't want any of whatever that juju was going to be. I didn't want to see any of that. I don't want to experience any of that. So again, the whole team is really, really trying to do everything that they can, but it's a Sunday and it must have been like midnight by now. So we make an emergency landing in Morocco. I've already experienced previous emergency landings, but I was like, yo, we in KQ and we's in Africa. And the one thing I know is you got to know your brothers. You got to know your brothers. And it's a Sunday. And it's like 12 a.m. I've been fed. I said, I'm gonna just take all my stuff and I'm just gonna go to the back and I'm just gonna let this unfold however this is all gonna unfold, because this is gonna unfold. And I'm chilling. Got my headphones on. I got all the TV, kicking it. I got all the space. Remember I said in the other two planes, again, because there are protocols and there are standards and there's a thing called communication. So on the Emirates flight, they were very open and honest. They were like, we were having a medical emergency. We've got to get back in. We've got to go. Boom, drop this fuel. Boom, all of you guys are going to really understand what it means like to be in a jet plane. Cool. Same with the American Airlines flight. There's protocols. Hey, we're doing a quick emergency landing. We're about to drop off this dead body real quick and we're going to get going. And keep in mind, this pilot had us up and down literally in like 30 minutes. We got down, they shimmied that lady off in her little shuka, and then they sent her off, right? Fine. Not Africa though. No, not Africa. They don't say nothing. They don't tell anybody why we're going to Morocco. They said nothing. It was just like, we going, we landed, that's it. So we sat, y'all. We sat. First hour, second hour, third hour. They're not saying nothing. Fourth hour. So now everybody in the back is getting antsy. Like, why are we sitting in Morocco? There's Al-Shabaab, there's Al-Qaeda, there's all types of fucking, terrorism in these parts of the world. We gonna die, we can't do nothing. Like, what's happening? This 3 huge German look like they've been just drinking for too long. Now they're heavy and they're lit. Their skin is now pink and ruddy. They don't look good. They start walking out, grumbling. You can hear, I don't speak nobody's German, but I can read body language. You see the little KQ stewardess trying to like push them back behind the little, the little curtain. Like, get back into where you are. They're getting like pissed. They're like, what are we doing? Like, what's happening? What's going on? But I was surprised that they actually listened to them. They went back. Fine. And this old British guy, like 75, 80, and he had looked like he had a couple of drinks in the back himself, and he's just fucking pissed. So this man goes to the door of the plane and starts trying to rip the door off. Trying to rip the door off, y'all. Some little Chinese lady comes up like, oh, you just know it's okay. This old white man turned around and was like, fuck you bitch, don't fucking touch me, get the fuck off of me. I mean, the entertainment was so lively, I could have just paused on my movie, okay? It seemed like it was like a little sugar baby or something like that. Gets him back, goes to the back. They're still not saying nothing to nobody, y'all. Finally, the captain gets on. He was like, so we are in Morocco and we're actually not allowed to leave until we get permission from the Algerian government to go through the Algerian airspace. So if we do not get permission from the Algerian government to go through Algerian airspace so that we could get to Nairobi, we are about to spend the night in Morocco. I was like, y'all couldn't have just told these people that like 6-7 hours ago? Nope. So now, like I said, I'm in business class and I'm sitting here and I'm watching what the ground staff is doing all of a sudden. Now the ground staff comes over with like one of these, kind of looks like a flatbed truck. And they were like, okay, we're just going to get the body off and we'll just leave the body here. So you see them right now, the dead man with the sheet on top of him. They get on board same way that they did the South Carolina. They wrapped him up like a little sausage, rolled his ass right off. So now again, like I said, it's Sunday in Africa. Ain't nobody around. So I was like, well, I ain't never been to Morocco, so I don't mind spending a night in Casablanca, check it off my list and say, all right, cool, we did it. They end up giving us permission to get out of there. Great, cool, let's get going. We start flying, we land. The guys were really like sweet with us. Actual KQ airline called us and asked, hey, do you need some counseling? How and what happened to you? Now, as y'all know, I'm a seasoned vet at this, okay? I've already gone through it 2 times. What's the third? In fact, y'all could put me on payroll and I'll help the people out with how do you deal with these kinds of things, right? So now fast forward, y'all. One of my homegirls, her husband, is a KQ pilot. He's been a pilot for 15 years. So I'm telling him all of this and he looks at me and he was like, wait, you were on that flight where the guy died right there? I was like, yeah, like right there. He's like, you know what they did with that body? I was like, yeah, I saw him. They rolled him off, the flatbed truck came and they took him off. He was like, nah. I said, what you mean, no? He's like, no, they didn't do that. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, they rolled that man into the bottom in the cargo hold. They were like, y'all just transported a dead body with all of your suitcases and all of that. I was like, oh. I was like, where's that number again for the help me with the counseling? I was like, ew, y'all just put this whole dead body in the back? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, so wait, as a pilot, how many times have you ever experienced anything like this? He was like, Rita, I have been flying for more than 13 some years. I have never once had to have an emergency landing. I have never once done an emergency anything. I can't believe you've done this many times. Y'all, 3 times, 3 different countries, 3 different airlines in 1 year. I looked up the stats. It's like 0.0000% that you'd even see one person die. Y'all, please run me the stats for 3. Because all I can say is either don't never come on a flight with me, or I should have played the lotto, okay? Because I was feeling real extra lucky. So that's my 3 times of 3. Talk to y'all later.